So after today's warm-up, we actually work on a few words to include in our word wall. So a couple of words kind of went with some of the readings that we had just to introduce math and how it's being modeled in everyday situations. So a couple of these words kind of popped up with one of our scientists, Archimedes. So irrigation. Instead of me giving the definition right out of Webster, I decided to talk about and give examples, pictures, examples of the word. So with irrigation, right here I have like a field being watered. And that's basically what irrigation is. It's providing water for plants. So the students could use a flower with a cloud over top of it, a rain cloud over top of it. You can have someone holding a bucket and they're pouring water over a plant. So basically irrigation is providing water for plants. So that's the definition. The next word is lever or lever, depending on where you live. So everyone liked the word lever better than lever because it sounds like you're leaving somebody behind. But a lever is just simply a protruding handle. So there's many examples of levers or levers out there. You can use a light fixture. You can think of the slot machines. You can have power switches. You can see the emergency power switch during the movies when they say, flip the switch! And then they flip the switch and all the sparks are flying all over the place. Yeah, you can use that. Light switch. If you used to have a big wheel back in the day, yeah, I'm showing my age, when you had that brake on the side, you go really fast and you pull the brake, that's a lever. Emergency brake of a car, that's a lever. So no matter what you have, it's a protruding handle that you can use to probably shut off any kind of electricity or just help with momentum. Odometer is the next word. So you easily have examples of this. A lot of people say, oh yeah, you can use it in your car, you can use it to measure miles. You can also use it to keep track of people going into a concert, so you won't have so many people. You can have like one of those little counters. But an odometer is just basically a device to keep track of numbers. So that would be the definition. So odometer is a device to keep track of numbers. So the numbers could be miles. It could be number of people going into a vicinity. Okay, it could be your speed. So it's basically a device used to keep track of numbers. The other word is buoyancy. And a lot of people say, well, the U and the O looks in the weird spot. But it's actually in the right spot. So buoyancy. Right underneath it is a buoy. Where do we see the buoy? Usually in the ocean as a marker. And what does buoys usually do? They float. So guess what the definition of buoyancy is? A device that floats. A set to float. Okay? Anything that you want to set to float. So a key characteristic for that will be floating. So you can draw a buoy, if you want, for an example. You can draw a floating tire. You can draw an empty bottle in the water. You can draw like one of those pool toys that floats. Anything that floats will be an example of buoyancy. The other one is mass. So mass, a lot of people don't like to talk about it, is really associated with weight. But we all know there's so many components of weight that has to deal with gravity, without gravity. But to simplify it a little bit, I just basically said mass is really how much something weighs. We can involve the gravity, but I don't want to get too much in detail. So with the mass, the definition is how much something weighs. So you can say a person. You can say a desk, a chair, an apple. When you go to supermarkets, some people has to pay for fruit or vegetables by the pound. So usually mass is something that you weigh. Non-destructive testing. Simple way to put it. The definition is right in the words. It's a way to test or assess without breaking it. So non-destructive testing is just a way to either test something or to assess something without destroying it or breaking it. So an example of this would be when Archimedes had to figure out if the crown from King Hero was made out of pure gold or silver. And he had to figure this out without simply cutting the crown in half and saying, oh, yeah, there's some silver in there. So instead of cutting it in half, he had to figure out a way, a non-destructive way, to see if that crown had silver or if it was pure gold. The other word is volume. And you see this word a lot in geometry. Find the volume of the cylinder. Find the volume of the cube. But what is volume? A lot of people get volume and mass mixed up. So volume really deals with how much space is being taken up in an object. How much space is being taken up in that beaker that the woman is holding in the picture. How much of that liquid is being held in that complete beaker. So how much space, and the key characteristic will be space. So weight or mass really deals with weight, how heavy something is, and volume deals with how much space is being taken up. Variation. To vary. I like to have the symbol for drama because that's the one thing I noticed a lot in high school. How your emotions change. 1 minute you're happy, next minute you're about to kill somebody. I don't know why. You're just on the edge. And you never know what button you're going to push. So an example for this would be a happy face and then leading into a sad face. So varying of emotion, change. And the last word is displacement. So there's good old Archimedes, figuring out the way of displacement as he submerged his body into a body of water. And you can see with the vases up top, first there's a certain level of water in, and then as soon as you put an object into that vase, that water level rose. So he figured out, if I weigh out or check out how much room the gold crown will take up and see how much room the silver might have taken up, then he can look at those levels of displacement and figure out which one's true. So those were the words